1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Well, hello there and welcome. It's Tuesday, November 20th, a few days before Thanksgiving. Thank God. And Susan in St. Louis. Hey, how you doing?
I'm okay, and you?
I'm okay, too. Good to hear ya. So, I was just listening to your voice, which sounds a lot like mine.
What, you mean gravelly low
Gravelly
and
low
old?
Yeah, and not particularly, necessarily. Anyway, someone sent me...
Not mellifluous?
Well, no. That word's onomatopoeic, I think. Mellifluous? Is it? Sort of. It's a very...
Well, you have to say it in sort of a lilting way. Otherwise, it doesn't come out. So, yes, it is.
It's a very pretty word. Mellifluous.
Mellifluous.
Mellifluous. Anyway, no, I don't think our voices we described as mellifluous. But there's a woman who I think is from Pittsburgh originally, who's written a book called Let Me Clear My Throat. And it's about voice. It's about the appeal of the human voice and how it is used and why we get fascinated by certain aspects. Like, I guess she does a whole riff on Howard Dean's scream and what made that something that people want. I don't know. And apparently she also talks at some length about the late, great sports guy here named Myron Cope, who had a voice you could not believe. You could not believe this voice. The first time anybody would ever hear it, they would say, "What in the name of God is that?" And yet, he was a towering presence on the radio. He'd say things like, "Yoy!" and "double yoy!" I can't do Myron. But, so she talks about him. I got to get her on the show. And she won this National Stella Contest. Have you heard about the Stella Contest?
Is that where someone stands and yells Stella?
Yes.
Yes.
That's all it is.
And a woman won it?
She's the first woman to ever win it. And she said she was just a wreck when it came time for her to do her Stella. But she'd done it because she was writing this book, and her publisher told her, "I want you to enter this contest. It'll be great." So she turned it into an exercise in confronting fear because she was terrified to do it. And but she let loose, and I guess you can see it on YouTube. She says in an interview, she said, "You can see the weird state of my body in the YouTube clip of the final scream. My arms are swinging all over the place. My shoulders are back. My chest is up. And I'm just trying to shake all that fear out of me, trying to flatten out my body to get sound to come from it. All of those moves didn't turn me into Stanley Kowalski, but they gave me plenty of energy to rile up my body and make a sound that came with force from an anomalous place. I'm dying to hear what she did, but Stella! If you think about how he does it, because he does it more than once, there are times when it's like this. It is amazing. It's this scream of desire and anguish and anger and all kinds of stuff going on. But then that was Brando. So, I don't know. Anyway, because I think most people don't use their voices like they should, because the voice is it's just such an extraordinary instrument, and most people use it in this very, as if you had a piano and you only use 2 notes, Suze?
Yes.
Well, what? Am I boring you?
Well.
Shit. I take that as a yes. I'm boring you. Am I?
No, you aren't boring me. How could you bore me?
Well, I think I am. And if you're the canary in the coal mine, then maybe I better change the topic.
I was way back still trying to figure out what kind of an accent the announcer had when you were trying to say, were you trying to say oi or yay?
No, he instead of saying oi, said yoy. For some reason, rather than oi, he put a Y in front of it.
Okay.
Yoy, he would say. I never heard anyone else say yoy, but around here, people often will say yoy now. Hello. Hi, caller.
Well, hello, Lynn. It's Michael, Palm Springs, Susan, too.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
You are getting into certain areas that I kind of find very, very interesting. Myron Cope is someone I hadn't thought of in a long time. I'd always figured that his voice was kind of a cross between Pittsburghese Yinzer and, straight out of the yeshiva in Brooklyn.
Well, that's what it was sounding like. I couldn't figure it out. Okay, so you were doing a pretty good job.
But I think he was a Pittsburgh born, wasn't he? His name?
No, I think he actually came from New York.
His name was Myron Copeman. And Susan, he stood 5 feet 1 inch. He
was
tiny,
diminutive, but
tiny little
voice.
guy, and a voice you could not believe. And he was also a great writer. He was a writer for Sports Illustrated before he ended up on the radio. But
yeah, he did some really, really great pieces.
Incredible pieces.
Muhammad Ali.
Yes, incredible. He was a great writer. Yeah, Myron. I don't know.
And then there was, just totally escaped me now. It's so early for me. You used the analogy of using only 2 notes on a piano.
Right.
I think maybe most people's singing range may only be an octave or an octave and a half.
Oh, my.
It's that. I think an octave and a half is a lot.
Yeah, I can't. Do, re, mi,
Yeah,
fa,
but
sol, la, ti,
instead of
do.
just 2 notes,
That's
let's give it a little bit more.
Yeah. No, I don't have any range like that, but I do ride my voice, which, I get a kick out of using what I've got.
Well, I like what you do because, and I don't even know if you're aware of this, but you kind of blend Pittsburghese and that nasal Midwest quality.
Good.
What nasal Midwest quality?
Yeah, really. What nasal Midwest quality?
I was in
Mom.
I was in a bar last night, and this person stopped me and said, "Lynn."
Hey, look, I went to school in Chicago. Come on, you know.
Chicago.
Yep.
But someone stopped me at the bar and said, "So these people are from Minnesota," and I was telling them, "You're from Minnesota too." And I said, "I'm not from Minnesota." And the guy from Minnesota said, Where you from then? And I said, "Well, I'll put it to you this way. Just listen to my voice and try to figure it." And he said, "Wisconsin?" I said, "Excellent. What parts then?" he said.
What parts then?
Yeah. And
So did you say I'm from down by Green Bay?
Yeah, down by Green Bay there. Right around near Little Chute.
Hey, what did you guys think when Fargo first came out?
Loved it.
Because I had some friends from Minnesota, and they were outright offended by the accent.
Oh, what? She
nailed
it. She nailed it.
Yes.
That is really it. And I'm sure people thought it was...
The whole reason that movie came into being was that the Coen brothers were sitting around talking one day and said, we have spent our entire lives watching movies with bad New York accents, bad Southern accents. Why hasn't anybody done anything with a bad Midwest accent?
Well, they sure did.
And one last thing to bring up. This is a Pittsburghese phrase, to red up.
Yeah.
Any idea what that may mean? Because I have an idea, but I just want to see if you have something.
Well, isn't it one of those? It's of Scottish derivation. It's
I believe so.
Yes. So that's what I mean. I don't know what Susan, to red up means to clean, and people around here do say, "Oh, I got to red up my house."
See, I've never heard that.
Maybe ready up is what Jess is
saying.
That's
what I'm thinking. To make ready.
Okay. Have to red up. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to red up. To make ready for company, make ready for, cooking dinner, make ready for whatever.
That makes sense. But, often these explanations we come up that make sense to us are not the correct ones. Do you know what I mean? You're often, if you look into it, it turns out, no, that's not it at all. But it could be. Michael, go back to bed. It's too early.
No, I've got to wake up. I need to finish my coffee.
Okay. Nice to hear from you.
So I shall listen to you while I process.
All right. Goodbye.
In our mellifluous tones.
Yeah, our mellifluous tones. So, here's some good news. I have good news. First of all, I have a lot of good news. First of all, on the way in, I was looking at the Twitter feed, and it appears that there's going to be a definite stand down in the
Middle East.
In the Middle East, the Egyptian president says that the aggression will end in a few hours. Apparently, the Israeli army is sort of standing down. They don't appear to be looking like they're going to be moving anywhere. So but who knows? I mean, this is all this flutter of activity as if something good might happen, and let's hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so. But I mean, every time they start this dance, it's so scary.
It's horrible.
Because and especially right now, when I just it really feels like somebody lighting a match where there's a gas leak. You just it's hard to imagine that the whole region wouldn't just go up.
Well, the whole region is so different. All these new governments, all of this, and there's so much. I mean, there's trouble everywhere you look. I mean, there's really horrible violence that doesn't. I mean, what's going on with Gaza and Israel right now doesn't come close to the bloodshed and horror that's going on in Syria. Doesn't come close. But, you don't have cameras in Syria. You can't get into Syria to show that. But we can always have, pull up a chair. The Israelis and Palestinians are going at it again. We get real up close and personal every time this stuff happens, right? So that's another aspect of it that I cannot stand. Anyway, it looks like, and Hillary Clinton's on the way there. So, for whatever that means.
And I sort of think it's interesting if you listen to the reporting, both on network television and on, PBS and NPR, and it really is sort of amazingly pro-Palestinian.
It seems to me to be, too.
And I find that surprising because I really get the sense that there's as much as we get on anything, on any issue in this country, there's sort of a unanimity of feeling about backing Israel. You know, there might not be unanimity in how much and how far, but there certainly is in terms of viewing Israel as an ally that we protect. So I think it's just surprising to me that they take the tone that they take.
Well, the unanimity on Israel is not total, and I think a big part of the naysayers are on the left.
Right, I agree with you.
And so if the media
is biased towards the left, and there's more
leans
proof.
left, you're going to get that. Yeah, I listened to it was during the day a few days ago, an interview. It was some CNN anchor interviewing some Israeli government official and then interviewing some Palestinian. And, yeah, I mean, the anchor was just flat out arguing with everything that the Israeli was trying to say, kept interrupting him, but. And I don't know. I think because the way this plays out visually is the Israelis always do look like the big bad guys because they've got this big army and the Gazans don't have much of anything, and they're all, you know, cheek to jowl in Gaza with these Hamas guys firing their rockets. You know, the rocket launching sites are right in the middle of town, and you know,
it's padded with children, right?
Well, but you know, I think it's because it's so. Even if Israel targets, which they are, they're targeting that site. I was looking at a Google Earth picture of Gaza. It's just buildings. I mean, it's just so condensed.
It's impossible for there not to be collateral damage.
It's impossible, even though, and it is acknowledged that Israel goes so far as to telephone the neighbors of a target.
Right, and say, get out of
Get out. Get out. They telephone, they text, get out. We are targeting this place, get out. And in that regard, they have tried to minimize as much as possible. But of course, as we know, since we use these drone attacks ourselves, there is, as you say, collateral damage. I don't know. I'm just hoping that we can tamp this down.
Yeah.
It appears that the Egyptian president is, no one knew quite how he'd be reacting. I mean, he's a great Hamas supporter. He's a Muslim Brotherhood guy, but he has been relatively pragmatic throughout, and so there's apparently hope that he will help to broker this.
He's got a lot to gain by handling this.
Yes, he does.
Well,
yes, he does.
Because then he tamps down anxiety about his party membership, as it were, and shows that you can have an even-handed, respectful, working government led by the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, there's a lot to be gained by him doing this well.
You bet. Somebody was pointing out, I don't know, I have it on the radio on my way to work, that it was like relatively a few months ago that this guy was a university professor. And now he stands to be one of the most important leaders in the world. And it's not like he ever governed anything before. So this is stop and think about that. He was essentially an intellectual who opined about this and that. And now here he is at the head of this country in roiling transition. But also Egypt has been sort of the linchpin holding all of this together. At least it was under Mubarak and even Sadat before him, and so if Morsi continues that will be definitely a positive, and maybe the fact that he is in the Muslim Brotherhood, which is cozy with Hamas, in the best of all possible worlds, that might prove to be something that will work better than anything has before toward finding some kind of a solution, if one can imagine. Hey, here's some more good news. I read that the Democrats are not only hanging on to this great data trove that they have and that they employed and deployed in their ground game in the presidential election, and everybody raves about how they, speaking of Israelis calling next-door neighbors in Gaza and saying you might want to leave your home, Obama has who lives where, how they vote, do they hunt, what they do in their work, how often they vote. Literally has a dossier on all of us. They are that, you might not like it, but it helped them win. This is the ground game that the Republicans now desperately want to replicate, but they don't have anything near it. So it turns out that, and I'm so glad to see it, that they are now, they aren't sitting down. They are pressing ahead. They are redeploying their sophisticated voter list, and they are already targeting the next year's gubernatorial race in Virginia and in New Jersey, and hoping to get all this information into the right hands to help start electing Democrats in these off-year elections, which is exactly what Democrats have not been doing at all. They win a national election and then go home and sleep for 4 years, while the Republicans take over the state legislatures, take over the governor's mansions, and take over the Congress, right? Well, finally, they're not going to do it anymore. So I think that is great, 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 great news. Don't you?
I do.
And they say that during this last campaign, workers collected much more detail on voters. And I was part of that. I was part of that because when I was sent out for I just covered about 5 blocks in Wilkinsburg. But I was asking specific questions and recording it. And then it was anything I found was brought back and tabulated. And to think that that's going on everywhere in the country by these people. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
and it's clearly what we have to do. It's, especially if we have ever any hope to win back, at least a working number of Democrats in the House.
Well, I'll tell you, another piece of good news is every single outstanding, there's still some races undecided from election.
They're all going Democrat.
They're all, not it. Every single one. I think there were 6 to start with. The one that went yesterday was the one in which Congressman West of the nightmare state of Florida finally conceded. And so we've managed, and on election night, I heard somebody say, and I was very depressed by it, that Gabby Gifford's seat had gone to a Republican.
It didn't.
It did not. That thing was so tight, and they counted and counted and counted, and no, it went to her former staff person who had been holding it down for her, and now it is his. So that went there. There was a Phoenix district that was tight, and that too went Democrat. Also, this horrible Lundgren guy who's been congressman from California forever got knocked off by a Democrat. And I haven't seen the final numbers, but the fact is I know we picked up 2 seats in the Senate, but we picked up seats in the House. Granted, we don't have anywhere near a majority, but if we keep chipping away like that, that is good news.
It is good news. Well, and it's an indication of, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised, but I mean the way the vast majority of Republicans are reacting to this loss as somehow the country saying that we agree with their policies, to the extent that we can, put an exclamation point after the fact. No, you lost. Yes, there was a referendum, and you lost it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, here, read up. Of course, Ray knows. Ray knows everything. The word rid is from Old Norse. Suze. Bill would know that.
Yeah.
The word rid is from Old Norse, meaning to clear land. So it traveled around Ireland and Scotland and became, instead of red, to clear anything. Clear the table, clear the room, tidy up. So it started out as rid, to clear land, and ends up being red, to clear whatever. Yeah, Jess just whispered, Ray, he knows everything. Well, he just might have he might, be looking things up.
Maybe.
Is that what you're doing there, Ray? Passing yourself off as some polymath? And you just have a quick Google search engine or something? Dorothea writes, it seems the conservative talking point of the day, yeah, I've heard this, Dorothea, is criticism that Obama is in Thailand and Burma and Cambodia when he should be focused on fiscal cliff negotiations and be more accessible to Boehner, McConnell, Pelosi, and Reid. Dorothea says this criticism almost makes sense to me. Do they have a point? How critical was it to make this trip at this time? First of all, he's on his way back now.
Yeah, I mean, it was all of 36 hours.
It was a very quick trip. He's on his way back by virtue of the fact that there are telephones and ways to communicate, even when you're at the other end of the earth. I don't think there's a problem. He's coming back.
He met with everybody.
Yeah.
Immediately, and the sense is that they are all working together toward a resolution, which is why you saw the market go up dramatically yesterday.
Yeah, right.
So,
Hugely.
I mean, you can criticize about anything. There was criticism that he was flirting and being with the prime minister or the president of Thailand, who's a very pretty woman.
Uh-huh.
And and I'm thinking to myself, how are women rulers supposed to get along if being polite and smiling and being good looking adds up to they're having a sexual relationship?
Well, that's not what who was saying that he was flirting.
I'm telling you, if you go to places like the Daily, there's a headline, and that's the whole import of the article was about how they were inappropriately flirtatious with each other.
Oh,
and I have to say, it was such nonsense that even the creeps on the other side were speaking up and going, this is nonsense.
Well, I happened to hear John McCain this morning, which almost got me.
Well, he's just gone totally nuts.
What is wrong with him?
He has gone totally nuts.
He is so. There's just like this. He's turning in literally like to the Grinch.
I think he's re-experiencing the trauma of his own
loss. His anger, his clear hatred of Obama, and his denigration of Susan Rice, which is just so over the top. It's nuts.
Well,
And-
I think it's misguided, too. I think it just really misses with a large amount of the country.
Well, here again, they don't learn. Here again, it appears, and I found this interesting because Representative Clyburn, who's an African-American congressman from South Carolina, he is just fit to be tied because a bunch of House Republicans, about 98 of them or something, sent off a letter to the White House saying that they did not want to see the president, nominate Susan Rice, and they did not they did not approve of her. Blah 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 blah. Now the reality is that House Republicans have no more skin in the game of who gets to be the Secretary of State than Jess does.
Right.
Right. But anyway, off they sent, and Clyburn says that this letter uses code words that any black person growing up in the South, as he did, recognizes immediately. And the code words especially, and I've been noticing them coming out of a lot of folks' mouths on the Republican side, is incompetent.
Of course.
Now, do you remember when John Sununu, one of Romney's major surrogates, and his
right, and
he called
anyone
Obama
of color was incompetent.
Right, he called Obama not only incompetent, he said he was lazy.
Yeah.
Now, classic. The only thing he didn't say was watermelon eating. I mean, incompetent, lazy. And Clyburn points out that these guys just, for some reason, go ape shit with the black people that Obama has put in power. So if there's a cabinet member that they detest and have gone after from day one, who is it? Attorney General
Eric Holder.
Eric Holder. Who did they go insane about and actually got him removed from the White House? This guy named Van Johnson or something. He's also a black man. You don't see him going at, and now Susan Rice, who, by the way, I would not know was black if somebody hadn't told me.
But it's so, what's interesting about the Susan Rice stuff and how angry they are at her for speaking the points that she was told to speak. So
right,
they're angry at her for doing her job.
Yeah.
And when, people ask them, but gee, didn't Condoleezza Rice, give us lots of misinformation?
Yeah.
When she gave us these talking points about, weapons of mass destruction, and we all know that was a massive lie. How do you say that Condoleezza was great and this one's wrong? Oh, they're totally different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not.
I mean, and then that's the end of the conversation. Oh, okay.
But no, so McCain's up there darkly suggesting that Susan Rice is either unbelievably incompetent
or a liar.
Or a liar, or a willful liar, or out of her league.
That's the gist of it. That
okay.
In any case, she's not to be trusted.
Right. But, so here, Clyburn's retort is to call her incompetent, a Rhodes Scholar being called incompetent by someone who can't hold a candle to her intellectually, by someone, I believe, who said Senator McCain, called her incompetent. But he told us, did he not, that Sarah Palin was competent to be the president of the United States, if need
be.
be.
So who's the judge of competency here?
Jeez. What is wrong with him? He's just like, I've maintained that as we age, as we get older, we do, and I'm not the only one who maintains this, that what we are, that our essence is concentrated, that we become, and you hear people say,
ourselves, but more so.
More so, that you become more of what you are, more of what you are, more of what you are. And I, one of the ways that I really saw that was in our father, because as he lay dying, there was hardly anything left to him except, what was the one thing that was left? Love.
Right.
Love. And even humor. Those were the two things that were there. Up until the end, there was this radiating of love. And I thought there is the essence. And for some people, you see them as they age and as things evaporate away, and the essence turns out to be something so ugly and so bitter. McCain is a bitter, bitter old man. It's sad because we used to like him, didn't we?
It is. I
liked him.
That he was, an honorable, respectable guy, and it makes it impossible to feel that way anymore.
Yeah. Oh, Ray has written back as to my charge that he was just looking things up. Lynn, I used to look things up when it was fun to do, musty books and quiet rooms. There was a time when I wanted to know why you get rid of something, and that took me down a path for a few hours and got me to read. At least that's how I remember it. So, no, he had that information in his head. Well, Ray, that's impressive. And that's interesting that you say you liked looking things up when you had to go through musty books in quiet rooms. There, as opposed to Google it. And I think I told you the story of my friend who was thinking of a fragment of a poem, but she couldn't quite get it right, couldn't place it. And she was going to Google it and then said to herself, no, no, you're not. And you know what she did? She actually waited. She went to the library. She did it the old-fashioned way. And she said she got so much pleasure in doing that. And I think the pleasure also is in the slowing down. Because one of the things that this ready information, bang, 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 takes away from us is the kind of less, it speeds everything.
The pleasure of discovery and the things that you learn along your way to the answer.
Well, and I have said, I'll Google it, has ruined more good conversations. Now if there's a little fight that breaks out at the dinner table, well, no, I said, he didn't say that. This one said that. Or where you normally just start talking then, we just stop. Get the fact, end of conversation. So I'm with Ray. Ray. Hey, Ray, you want to meet up in a quiet room with some musty books?
Meet you in the stack.
Meet you in the stacks. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Winter has arrived and it's cold outside, so get to Little's for all your UGG needs. Little's has Uggs for men, women, and children to stay warm with shearling-lined boots, shoes, and slippers. And don't forget to get your hats, gloves, scarves, and more. All available at Little's Shoes. Bring the entire family to view one of the largest in-store UGG shops in the U.S. Little's Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store, 5850 Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals from the 2012 Best of Pittsburgh winners. This week only, get discounts up to 70% on admission to all Carnegie museums for the holidays. bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's exclusive e-commerce mall. bergbargains.com.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
All right, Susan, what was your favorite? Twinkies or Ding Dongs or Hostess cupcakes?
I guess of the three, I liked the Twinkies the best, although because the chocolate was never quite chocolatey enough for me.
Yeah, but it's always that creamy inside that you like.
Right, but I didn't like any of them very much.
I like Twinkies. And then I found out that I liked them even better if you put them in the freezer. Oh, yeah, frozen Twinkies. Anyway,
well,
the Twinkie...
Did you read the part today about how the federal court had to step in to stop the bosses from awarding themselves $1.5 million in bonuses?
No, it's a classic. It's the classic. If you read the right-wing media, you would now have been told that the reason you aren't going to be able to get your Twinkies anymore is because of those horrible union guys who brought this wonderful old company down. Not at all. It's just unbelievable. This is more of, it's sort of like Bain Capital kind of thing, where these jerks come in and squeeze the workers. There's a guy, I was reading an interview with a guy who was making $48,000 there. He's a unionized worker making $48,000 and had been for some time. And then the company started, saying we're in trouble. And they were in some trouble because people, aren't eating that crap as much.
Twinkies.
Yeah. And so the union gave unbelievable amounts of money back so that the guy who was making $48,000 was making $35,000. Now that's huge. So the little guy goes from $48,000 to $35,000, and the guys in the boardrooms who are running the thing into the ground, by the way, are giving themselves bonuses. They're tripling their salaries.
I mean, and not only that, Hostess was the subject of takeover. I think 3 takeovers.
That's
so
right.
Each time
they
company came in, raped it,
right,
sold it.
They did Bain Capital to it.
The next company bought it, added more debt.
That's right.
Took out more money.
That's right.
And then sold it. And now we're at the point where, guess what? There's nothing left.
That's
and
right.
You can't take any more from the workers because you're already paying them minimum wage.
Yeah. They were baned.
They were Bain squared.
Yeah, 3 times.
Or Bain cubed.
And so,
and when you point that out, to these people that start immediately knee-jerkingly screaming, unions, it's the unions. And I'm going, no, it's actually not. The unions are standing up for the people that have been raped by the bosses. And the fastest way to get me to talk like a socialist is to have to try and explain what's happening, to the workers in this country by the upper classes. It's awful.
It is awful.
And there's no other way to describe it.
No, it's despicable. It really is. And now it's considered business as usual. And then they blame it they blame it on the people. They blame it on the people who have nothing. You know what's funny? I mean, I've said this quote a million times. I read it maybe 15 years ago, and I'm sorry I've never learned who said it. But it is that what Republicans think is that the problem with this country is that the poor people have all the money. That's what they think. They think somehow the poor are getting all the money, right?
Right.
Well, they're insane. So I want to go back to Twinkies in a slightly lighter vein because I'm reading an essay by a woman whose husband is a science teacher, and he has always used Twinkies. He's beside himself because he's always had kids do experiments on Twinkies. And it's his way of in a fun manner, helping them learn all kinds of, scientific realities. So here are some of the questions that his kids have answered in his Twinkie science labs. And I will ask you, Susan, do Twinkies burn?
Yes.
Well, it says here, no. They don't burn, they toast.
Well, that's what I meant. They like marshmallows.
Like a marshmallow. But they do not burn. The only way they'll burn is if you first dry out the strangely moist golden sponge cake by soaking it in alcohol. And then a Twinkie will, of course, catch fire. Well, yeah, you might blow the house up.
Well, the alcohol catches fire.
Yes, that's what I mean. But what becomes of the creamy filling inside the Twinkie when you do burn, catch fire? It says here, it is not fit to describe in a newspaper that people read over breakfast. Okay. Do Twinkies dissolve in water?
I think they just turn into mush.
Right. The answer is sort of. They swell up first, grotesquely. Sort of like if you ever put a tampon in water. Haven't you?
No, I've never put a tampon in water.
I did, and you know, when I did, I was trying to explain menstruation to my son. So I was doing it, and I was saying, and so women use, and blah, blah, blah. I said...
Well, no wonder he's scarred. No wonder he doesn't want to speak to anybody.
And I said, hey, let's put this in some water and see what happens to it. It was amazing. I recommend it. Susan, as soon as you get off, put a tampon in water. It's...
Well, being a dried-up old prune, I don't have any.
You should always have some available for younger women who may come into your home.
Younger women are on their own in my house.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, that's what happens. You put a Twinkie in water, it's like a tampon in water. They swell up grotesquely, and they turn pale, and they ooze. And then, yes, indeed, they sort of, if you touch it, it like just disintegrates, falls apart, okay? A Twinkie is made up of what percentage of air?
80%.
Close, but no cigar. 68%. How does gravity affect a Twinkie? Say if you drop them out of the classroom window?
The same way it affects everything.
Right. It goes down, but it handles the fall better because it bounces. Right?
Right.
Right. What happens if you microwave a Twinkie?
It explodes.
I don't know, because the answer here, it just is one word. Don't. Which, of course, makes you want to microwave a Twinkie immediately. And get this is the best of all. An overweight nutrition professor, that'd be a hard thing to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, not good for business, I would
No.
think.
An overweight nutrition professor at Kansas State University went on a diet that was low in calories but consisted almost entirely of Twinkies and other junk food. That's what he did. In 2 months, he lost 27 pounds.
And his numbers were all good, too.
No,
the cholesterol was
he
good.
lowered his bad cholesterol. He raised his good cholesterol. And he was trying to prove his point that if you want to lose weight, it's calories that matter, not what the calories are made up of. So he, however much of this crap he ate, he kept it below, he put it at a caloric level. You know, I might try that.
No, don't. Don't.
Why?
Take the point, but do it better. Just reduce the calories and eat a normal food. Just eat, let yourself have mashed potatoes, let yourself have meat, let yourself have vegetables.
moderation,
do the right portions.
I know. In moderation, in small portions.
Not the
You sound just like Mom. Just don't eat so much.
Well, that's all this guy said. That's all this guy said. He was still counting calories.
We do not want to have this conversation when we are all about to pig out big time soon.
I know, and boy, I gotta get my brining ready for my turkey.
Oh, brine that baby. Yeah. Hey, I got to take a break, okay? 'Cause
Okay.
I've been remiss. And we'll be right back.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Pittsburgh City Paper's special holiday pullout is available now. Pick up one today for listings and information on holiday festivities throughout the burg, plus the Sessions, Lincoln, and News of the Weird. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Jess and I are having a very hot conversation about Hostess Twinkies versus Little Debbie cakes.
Little Debbie snack cake.
Snack cakes.
I have to say, I always, if I was going to be bad in that way, I really liked the real bakery better.
Yeah.
So if I had my choice of a Hostess Twinkie or, say, a cheese Danish, I'd just rather eat the cheese Danish.
And the chances are that if you do the actual bakery stuff, you're not getting, God knows, the chemicals and stuff.
Well, that's 30 different ingredients
preservatives
in that Twinkie, and most of them aren't food.
No, of course most of them aren't food. It's 60.
I mean, there's elements that you'll find in your gasoline.
Right. There's let's see. There's 68% air, 22% petrochemicals, 3% carcinogens, and that'd be about it. And maybe, I don't know.
See, I feel bad for the workers and everything, but I mean, if you ask me when the last time there was a Hostess item in my home, we're talking, if ever, decades. I mean, I can remember that from when I was a child. I do not think I ever bought that stuff for my kids, ever.
Well, aren't you a good mom?
No, it had nothing to do with being a good mother.
I did.
It probably had to do with I didn't like it.
Oh, well, see, I don't have your high-toned tastes. Hey, listen to this, Suze. Local officials in Bougarach. That doesn't sound like a place in France. It's in France. Sounds like
Bougarach?
Bougarach. Sounds like it should be in Bulgaria or something. I don't know. Bougarach. Bugarich. Anyway, it's in southwestern France. And they are deploying, get this, they're deploying police, hundreds, police officers, firefighters, other people to bar access to the town's mountain. It has a mountain. This would be in the Pyrenees, I guess, right? Wouldn't that be the Pyrenees range, southwestern France?
Right, yes.
And the reason they don't want anyone on the mountain is they caught wind of, apparently, that they are about to be overrun by crazy people who have decided that their mountain is the place to be when the apocalypse happens on December 21st.
Oh, it's going to be the new Ararat? Well, why is it the place to be for apocalypse? Because that's where you rise from, or
I don't
you're
know.
Safe there?
I don't, Suze. It doesn't go into that, but they have blocking access to the mountain from December 19th to the December 23rd.
So you need to get there before that day.
Yeah, that's right. You could get there before that day, and they don't want these lunatics on their mountain, and I don't blame them. Okay, listen to this, Scientific American.
And if they're on that mountain wearing a burqa, they're really in trouble.
okay?
Well, because that's illegal. I mean, you're not allowed to cover your
Oh,
head.
in France, right. So, Scientific American, what's my earring doing on the floor?
It fell out of your ear.
Well, yeah, but, okay. I wonder where the little stoppy thing is. Okay. Okay. Aw, shoot! This is from Ray. You know that little flirtatious thing we did?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Well, first I'll get to the meat of his... I remember a joke in philosophy class, Ray says, that told of a bunch of Greek philosophers sitting around for hours debating the number of teeth in a horse's mouth. When one young student suggested, hey, why don't you just go out there and count them? They threw him out of school. Because it's the same thing. Google kills the art of friendly debate. Same thing. That's right. Ray, you're so full of stories and information. But here's the P.S. My wife refers to you as my girlfriend. As in, are you listening to your girlfriend today? So Ray writes, the jig is up. No quiet book racks for us. You tell your wife, Ray, if she starts getting slightly threatening emails from, well, someone, tell her not to take them to a bare-chested FBI agent, okay? Okay. Scientific American. Toys that are out this year. There are toys that are the precursors to what is right around the corner, which is things that we will be able to control with our minds. This is, rather than type something into a computer, you'll just think it.
You'll think it, right.
Now, how the hell is that possible? Okay, so wait. So here, there's a Star Wars Science Force trainer for $35. Listen, $35 at Toys R Us. Listen to what it does. This toy includes a wireless headset, a ping pong ball, and a clear plastic tube with a fan underneath it. As you wear your headset and concentrate your brain activity, the fan turns on. No. So that it blows the ping pong ball up the tube. And you hear Yoda's voice saying, reach out with your feelings, use the force, do or do not. There is no try.
Cool.
Then,
it's electricity. You know that. That your body functions on
what do you
electricity.
mean? Okay, well, wait. Then Mattel has the same kind of thing for $47 called MindFlex. It's another ball in an air column setup. This time, you actually, it's a little more complicated. With your mind, you guide the ball through hoops and funnels by controlling the fan power and therefore the height of the foam ball with your thoughts. You control the ball's horizontal. I'm looking at Jess. Jess's mouth is hanging. You gotta get one. I'll get you one. I'll get you one for Christmas.
Picker on the Apple stock. I try and make it go up.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, it worked fine. Yeah, you had a little trouble there last week.
I was working on that yesterday, real hard.
Well, they have these. They have a bunch of them. There's a neural impulse actuator. Now they're getting expensive for $107. It's called a brain mouse. It's marketed as a Windows game playing accessory, but it lets you control game functions with your thoughts. You can assign it to be a left trigger or a right trigger or to make a character walk or shoot, and you're doing that with your head. I don't get this. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. This is called BCI, Brain Computer Interface. And it is going to be happening. Scientific American says these toys and technologies are based on real BCI principles, and they are a fascinating glimpse of mind-machine merging. I don't know, Jess. I don't know. I freaked Jess. Jess, get smelling salts!
We're training a whole generation of Yuri, what's his name?
Yuri Geller.
Yeah, Geller, right. Uri Geller.
Uri Geller.
Uri Geller.
Who, yes, with his mind and just little stroking things could bend a spoon, right? Is that what he did?
Right.
Oh, my God. Well, I want to get one of those.
Okay.
I'm going to.
I'll get you one for Chanukah.
Will you?
Yeah.
Give me the, I can do the cheapest one, the Star Wars Science Force trainer.
Okay.
Then all I'm really doing is getting the fan to move. Now, if you get the Mattel one, then I'm not only doing the fan, but I'm moving the ball in certain directions with my mind.
Well, if I get the more expensive one, it'll be for you and Sam to share.
Oh, and there's one where you can play with somebody else. Where somebody is controlling horizontal movement and somebody is controlling vertical movement. I don't know. Unbelievable. But not...
Well, good. I think anything that trains us to use more of our brain power
Yes.
is better, and to concentrate
That's right.
is better.
Yeah. Wow. So, that's it. And Laura says we did a great show today. Thank you, Laura. Started out a little wiggly with Susan refusing to be entranced with my...
My yoy.
Is that what it was? Voice. Oh, Laura especially liked the Twinkie tampon segment. Oh, God. Susan, the woman writing, is our brother's, I don't know if it's secretary is the right word. It's probably something. It's a office manager type thing at the law school in Michigan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She says...
Well, that means she's the only one in the whole place that knows what's going on.
That it would be correct.
Right.
And she says, can't wait to tell Bill about this great show. If you tell Bill, Laura, about the tampon and Twinkie thing, he will get, we know, disgusted.
He will be upset. You can tell Bill about the rid part.
The rid? Rid and
Yeah,
red? The mind.
Up.
Tell him about the mind stuff. Oh, no. Here's what I want you to tell him. Tell him about the tampon. You might actually help kick off a new book by telling him.
Right, he needs a new book.
He needs a new book, so there you go. And, what a great title, Tampons and Twinkies. Oh, Twinkies as tampons. Ooh.
Well, it isn't like the Norse, the journal for Old Norse scholars, Speculum?
Excuse me?
I swear it is.
You mean
I remember seeing this whole line of books up in his office, and they were called Speculum. I said, what's that?
Do guys know what a speculum is?
I don't know. I guess, it's that really cold thing that they attack you with in the gynecologist
A speculum is a thing that they put inside a woman's private place. And it's when you're having a gynecological exam, and it is always cold!
It's 40 degrees below zero.
Actually, now that there's more women doing gynecology, they aren't as cold anymore.
Right.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
And you know what? Instead of those cold, uncomfortable stirrups, my woman gynecologist puts, and this is so female, puts hot pads. I mean, hot pads on over the stirrup. So you got a nice soft cloth thing there.
Well, that's nice.
No guy would think of that. You just speculate on that. Okay. We got to stop. I'm having too much fun to stop, but we have to stop.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Suze!
See you soon.
See you soon.
Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And toodaloo. I'll be back tomorrow with Mr. Palta.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.